One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Territorial gains, officials from both
two of the air bases that came under attack sustained damages to the airplanes that were sitting on the tarmac that is in the Irkutsk region as well as the Murmansk region. The Russian Defense Ministry also saying that the other attacks took place in the Ryazan and the Ivanovo as well as the Amur region in the Far East. This is the first time that Russian military forces have seen a simultaneous large-scale attack on Russian territory being launched from inside Russia on military air bases. Of course, these are very strategic air bases that are home to Russia's long-range airplanes that have been carrying out strikes across Ukraine. The Russian Defense Ministry saying that there have been no injuries reported, no casualties, either military or civilian, and a number of people, what they call terrorists, have already been detained for their role in this attack. There was also, prior to this attack that took place on Sunday overnight, two bridges collapsed, one in the Bryansk region and one in the Kursk region. The one in Bryansk collapsed as a passenger train was traveling beneath it. And during this incident, there was at least 7 people that were killed and 80 other people injured. Half of them have been hospitalized here in Moscow. They were transported here early on Sunday morning. The incident in the Kursk region, there was a cargo train that was traveling on this bridge when there was an explosion and there were minor injuries reported. This all, of course, comes at a critical time in this conflict. The Russian negotiating team has landed in Istanbul, where they're due to sit down with the Ukrainians on Monday to discuss a possible ceasefire deal that would see an end to this conflict. But the general mood now here is that this latest, all these attacks that Ukraine has carried out is going to have to be met with a very harsh response from the Russian side. Dorsa Jabari, Al Jazeera, Moscow.
Well, John Hendren is in Kyiv and has the latest on Ukraine strikes in Russia.
You can hear the air raid warning here in Kyiv. That comes after an operation that marks one of the biggest days in the war in Ukraine. Operation Web was bold, dangerous, and long planned. According to President Volodymyr Zelensky, it was planned a year and a half ago. The SBU, the Ukrainian Security Services, confirms that they used trucks carrying drones to strike 4 different air bases as far as 4,000 kilometers inside of Russian territory. Those drones destroyed 40 planes and 1/3 of Russia's strategic aviation fleet. Those are the ones that carry cruise missiles, and that's important because those cruise missiles are what Russia uses often within a sea of drones to strike cities like Kyiv and set off air raid warnings like that one. A mission like this was probably authorized by Volodymyr Zelensky himself. This also comes on the eve of peace talks in Istanbul between Ukraine and Russia. The Ukrainian side will be led by the Minister of Defense, Rostam Umerov, and he will come with specific demands for a ceasefire, for a new prisoner exchange, and for Ukraine to get its children back. These are children that have been captured by the Russian side in southern and eastern Ukraine. And Reuters says, based on sources, there will be other conditions that include a meeting between Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin, something Zelensky has long been seeking. Zelensky also offered a statement saying the operation carried out in Russia was brilliant and that it would end up in history books. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Kyiv.
Marina Meron is a military analyst and researcher at the War Studies Department at King's College London. And she says Ukraine's attack on the Russian air bases is a moral victory for Kyiv.
There are many components to this. First of all, we don't know how many failed attempts there have been, maybe on other targets. So it would suggest that it is quite a difficult operation, both in terms of planning, in resources, and of course evading Russian counterintelligence. And therefore, I would say that it's quite a complex operation. That being said, how many of such operations are Ukrainian services capable of? What we also have to understand is that Ukraine retained its intelligence capability after the fall of the Soviet Union, and it has been revamped by the CIA from 2014 onwards. So both the SBU and the core military intelligence have been receiving CIA support. So they have been trained by Western partners, and they have been receiving intelligence. So I think that helped bolster the capabilities of both agencies. When it comes to targeted killings inside Russia, also conducted by the SBU, the CIA wanted to distance itself from any of those operations. So it's not clear how steady the link is between the two agencies and in how far the SBU might have received help from the CIA, specifically under the Trump administration. But perhaps up to that point, I would assume that in planning and coordinating and delivering drones and so on, there might have been some involvement, specifically passing intelligence to the Ukrainians, because you need a lot of intelligence. You need to make sure to evade also Russian spy satellites. So it is quite a complex operation, and I think there has been a significant amount of support, at least at the beginning and the planning stages, maybe not in the execution.
Israeli forces have opened fire on a group of desperate Palestinians gathered near an aid distribution site in Rafah in southern Gaza. At least 31 people have been killed in the attack. Yes, this is the video of the moment the Israeli forces began opening fire in the early hours of the morning. More than 100 others have been injured. There was a second attack at a separate distribution site, killing 3 people. These distribution sites are managed by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a controversial group backed by both Israel and the US. Asad Beg has this report now.
The aftermath of an Israeli attack on desperate Palestinians who had gone to collect aid. The bodies of the dead were brought back to their families, not the promised food they set out for.
He went to get what he needed to stay alive. He left home at 11 o'clock. Sleeping near the flag there. He went to get his food. They shot him. He was not carrying weapons or knives or anything. He went to get food for his children. He has 8 family members with him, and with his wife they are 10. This is unfair. What they are doing is unfair.
These children have just found out their father was killed. Papa, where are you? Papa, why are you late? Says the man's son. One boy collapses amid the grief, heat